All right, Megyn Rapinoe, one of the stars of the USA team, soccer team, women's soccer team, and she decided, along with Sue Bird, who's a former Olympian professional basketball player, to sign a petition trying to stop the Protection of Girls and Women in Sports Act. They've decided now that they're on the bench, Eliana, and not playing, to ruin sport for my daughter and yours and everybody else's out there. They've decided you're a bigot if you don't think that biological men should participate in sports like soccer. Okay, sure, that would be totally safe. Like Megyn Rapinoe would have ever given up her spot to a transgender player. And like she wouldn't have objected if she had to play a transgender player on the other team from Brazil or some other country who would have kicked the you-know-what out of her. This is where I've drawn the line on my swearing. In professional play. Any professional male player, biologically male player, could absolutely crush the female player across from him, both athletically and physically, and it would be a danger. But she wants my daughter to go out there, who is a soccer player and happens to love people like Megyn Rapinoe, because I don't inject my politics on sports athletes who she admires. She'd sick that person on my daughter in a New York second just to bonify her woke credentials and make herself look laudatory in the eyes of her colleagues.
It is amazing. Like, we've really come full circle on the feminism thing, where we had the movement in the 1960s and 70s. And now today's feminists are arguing that really we need biological men competing in women's sports. And the troglodyte right-wing position is to say, no, this space should be reserved for women. That's an argument that feminists once would have made. And Megyn, I'm sure you and I are old enough to remember, and maybe Emily, there was a huge deal about Title IX and carving out space for women's sports and having a separate space for women to compete in athletics that was separate from men. And now the women who, because of these rules, have risen to the heights of fame in this country, to the top of their professions, are re-erecting those boundaries to say, we're going to put men back in, and take away the space for female athletics that allowed us to reach the fame and fortune.
It's true. And, Megyn Rapinoe and Sue Bird, from what I can tell, have a lot of medals and a lot of money. And you know what they don't have? Daughters. So they can take a seat, because those of us who do and need to worry about their safety and their fair play object to your desire to push men into women's sports. And I don't give a damn, and most people don't, what you call me or others who feel as I do. I will fight you. I will fight you tooth and nail as you try to endanger my child and take away her fair shot at a medal, at winning, at the wonderful feeling of crossing the finish line first, or winning in a fair game, which Megyn Rapinoe benefited from and Sue Bird benefited from. But again, to assuage their own colleagues, their own fan base, they now want a different rule. They want a different rule for my kid than they had to play under. It's disgusting. And by the way, what does this act do? It seeks to clarify Title IX by classifying athletes by biology. That's it. It seeks to say sex, meaning male or female, means what we think it means. It doesn't include what you identify as, Emily. I think they ought to be ashamed of themselves.
They should be. It's completely regressive and backwards. And as Eliana notes, it's not just sports that the women's movement, the second wave of feminism, fought for. They fought for separate spaces in general. They fought for women's bathrooms. They fought for women's locker rooms. They fought for women's categories like best actress, best female artist, all of these things so that women would achieve. And maybe they don't make perfect sense in the actor-actress category, but when you're looking at things like separate spaces, women's shelters, these are accomplishments for the women's movement that are now being completely yanked away by people whose success is built on a fair system. And one question I always make sure to ask anytime I interview an athlete who's, Riley Gaines, last time I talked to her, when I talked to the two Connecticut track athletes who've been on the losing side of this, and
it's still on appeal.
Right. Yeah. Every time I talk to them, I ask them one question. Are people's scholarships being affected by this? Because the left purports to care about income inequality. They purport to care about the middle class. But actually what this does is take elite interests and then subjugate working class girls who are getting, or middle class girls who are using scholarships to get an education so that they don't have to go into tens of thousands of dollars of debt because of the government's dumb subsidies the left has supported for years. So is completely regressive on so many different layers: safety, fairness, financially. It just, you can keep going down and it's completely backwards. But people like Megyn Rapinoe have absolutely no incentive to stop saying this nonsense anti-woman stuff because the media cheerleads them. The small group of people in the media believe the exact same way. And it puts them at odds with the rest of the country and just sows further division instead of allowing us to just turn the page on the stupid backwards chapter.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Riley Gaines. Of course, very much in the news, given what happened to her at this San Francisco State University. She complained about it, of course. She was physically assaulted by a trans woman. She says, and we saw the mob attack her and chase her into a room where she had to stay for 3 hours. They were threatening that she wouldn't be released without money being paid to them and so on. She tweeted about it. And Eliana, the woman who runs the university who spoke out about it, blocked Riley Gaines on Twitter. She blocked her. I mean, the absolute cowardice of the people running our universities.
Oh, Megyn, don't get me started.
I will.
Get her started.
It is not limited to athletics. The same people who are running Bud Light marketing are running our universities. Okay. At the Free Beacon, we've spent the past 3-4 years reporting on these controversies that have overtaken the top law schools in the country, who are producing the best federal judges, Supreme Court justices, Yale Law School, Stanford Law School. We've gotten a close-up look at who the administrators are at these schools. It just happened at Stanford Law School, where an administrator there got up, took the mic from a federal judge, and asked the federal judge, who was an invited guest of the Stanford Law School, to consider whether the juice was worth the squeeze of the harm that he was causing by hurting the feelings of transgender activists in the audience. And by the way, they took issue with the fact that this federal judge had denied the motion of a transgender defendant to be called by female pronouns. They were incredibly aggrieved by this and shouted the judge down as a result of this. And the Stanford University administrator intervened on the behalf of these protesters. So that is who's running.
Wait, can I just add something to that? The transgender inmate that the judge refused to acknowledge the chosen pronouns of, if memory serves, was a convicted pedophile. And yet this is the poster child for the activist cause. Like many people, I am eating healthier these days, and that is why I love good olive oil. And by good, I mean fresh. Olive oil packs the most flavor and healthiest nutrients when it's fresh from the farm. And that's the problem with supermarket olive oils. They're not fresh. They can sit on the shelf for many months growing stale. That's why I like my olive oil direct from small, award-winning farms, thanks to a guy named TJ Robinson, also known as the Olive Oil Hunter. When I first tasted TJ's farm fresh oils, I fell in love with their vibrant flavors. They are delicious on salad, veggies, pasta, meat, fish, you name it. You got to try it. Try it out for yourself. Put my word to the test. As an introduction to his fresh pressed olive oil club, TJ's willing to send you a full-size $39 bottle of one of the world's finest artisanal olive oils for just $1 to help him cover shipping. Best of all, there's never a commitment to buy anything, and you can cancel your membership at any time. Get your free $39 bottle for just $1 shipping and taste the difference freshness makes. Go to harvestfreshnow.com. Harvestfreshnow.com for a free bottle and pay just $1 in shipping. Harvestfreshnow.com. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.